Yeah, can you do it? Okay. Okay, great. Hey, sorry everyone for the delay. We're really excited to present this month's community call to you guys. We introduced a lot of new things in the version 1.13, which was released yesterday. And we also have a special guest. We have Daniel from bloxRoute Labs, who's going to present a connector they built for OpenBook, which is a community-based DEX that took over from the code of Serum and is now one of the most active DEXs on the Solana blockchain. So bloxRoute is actually an RPC provider. They provide node services and other blockchain infrastructure. So we're really pleased to have Daniel on. So for the first half of this call, we're going to cover the highlights from the last month's release. I'll give a quick demo of some of the new scripts we've added in this release. And then I'll turn it over to Daniel, who's going to give a demo of the OpenBook connector that bloxRoute has built. All right, and of course, as always, feel free to add questions either in YouTube in the live chat, or you can use the community call channel on our Discord, and then yeah, we'll try to monitor the chats, and then Carlito, yeah, please message me on Discord if any questions come through, so I can answer them on the call. Okay, let's get started. I'll share my screen now, and so that we can go over the release highlights from version 1.13 first. Okay. Hey everyone. So just walking through the list, we actually added a lot of new things in this release. So the first thing you'll notice is that now it's not just one repository anymore. We've split the Gateway DEX connector module into its own standalone GitHub repository. We did this because we think that the users of Hummingbot are really more technical traders and developers, and now the installation path for both Hummingbot and Gateway look very identical. In both, you can install them via source, or you can install them by Docker. And we have some subscripts that help you basically make sure they're using the same search files and they can both talk to each other. We've also added a new deployment repo called Deploy Examples. This will show you how to deploy Hummingbot in various configurations with Docker Compose. So you can launch Hummingbot standalone, Hummingbot with Gateway, and in the future, after the community has really started using the new orchestration module to launch multiple bots, I anticipate we'll also have kind of like orchestrated bot examples of how to deploy Hummingbot, at scale. So I think overall we're seeing a trend toward Hummingbot being used more in production by both trading firms, exchanges, and all types of players. And so we wanted to start kind of aiming more for that professional audience. In addition, this marks kind of like one of the first milestones that we laid out in our 2023 technical roadmap post, which is the new directional framework. So the directional framework, which was featured in last month's developer call, so the video here, you can click on this link and see the video in the release notes. In this video, actually, Fede explains how the directional strategy works. So I won't play the video now, but you can kind of watch this video for an example of how it works. And basically, this new framework allows you to basically create a position, and this position executor smart components will essentially self-operate. And the way it does that is it uses a triple barrier method that was popularized in a recent book about quant research, where it either kind of takes a profit if it kind of escapes the upper bound. It'll do a stop loss if it hits a lower bound, or if the time limit for the position exceeded, the position will close itself. So we believe that this kind of like method of implementing directional trading strategies, I think is very conducive to backtesting and other types of kind of like statistical machine learning. And I think with Hummingbot, the ability to kind of pull indicators, which we also added in this release, I think is a really good fit for kind of creating directional strategies with Hummingbot. So yeah, as I mentioned, the other project that we wanted to introduce alongside these position executor components is a candles feed. So so this month we added a candles data feed for both Binance and the Binance Perpetual connectors. So you can use these candles feeds to construct essentially custom OHLCV kind of like buckets. Really with any type of duration or kind of like bucket size, and then you can use that data. You can store the data, use it however you want, but you can also use Pandas TA to generate a custom indicator, and then use that to power the creation of the positions that we added earlier. So these two kind of like components of the directional framework, and we're going to expand on this in future releases, I think are the first kind of like the minimum viable components that you need to build with any directional strategy. And we've also added some sample scripts that show you how to do this. So the other kind of like big change in this release was really the establishment of the standalone gateway repository. So as I mentioned, the installation process is now very similar to that of Hummingbot, and we've also significantly updated the documentation that shows you. So the new gateway section in the docs, before there was a separate gateway section and the developer section, but now we've combined everything into one section over here called gateway. And so if you kind of peruse the guides here, we show you how to install gateway in various configurations, how to test gateway, because we actually recommend you test gateway on a standalone basis using Postman, as I've done here, before you actually start doing it standalone. And the reason is because once you have it running, like I have it here with the client, then in Postman you can kind of like test the routes, make sure it's working, kind of like call the basic GET requests, but also you can kind of like you can load up a wallet in the environment like this. So I've defined a certain wallet, chain, and other settings, and so now I can just use this this kind of interface to kind of really check what wallets I have listed for each chain, and for each specific wallet, I can check the allowances for a connector, and if I need to, I can kind of like approve that, approve any tokens I need to approve as well. So essentially, Postman or any type of API interface allows you to interact directly with Gateway, test all the routes, make sure you have your settings correct before testing it with the client. So if you're interested in trading with DEXs, make sure you go through the new documentation for Gateway, because I think it'll help you really understand how to kind of like how to kind of operate Gateway with Hummingbot and on a standalone basis. Finally, as I mentioned, we did actually add some other new connectors. So we added the BTC Markets connector in this release. So BTC Markets was actually a community-added connector. That was actually added to the code base last year. It was removed during the initial exchange poll that we did in January. But I'm actually quite happy that it's back, because I think it's a great example of a connector that's built by a community member. It's only available to folks living in Australia, but I think as long as there's this community member who's willing to maintain it, and I think it's going to be a good example of the type of value that Hummingbot can bring to exchanges and to users all over the world. And finally, we did add a bunch of other issues. Please, look through here. But what I want to do with this demo this call was to just run some of the sample scripts that we've added recently for both Gateway and other ones. And so I wanted to, and then actually just show rather than tell you about how Hummingbot works. So let's do that right now. So over here, I've just pulled up each of the scripts that we've added in this release. So as a reminder, Hummingbot is really kind of moving toward these scripts as the recommended kind of entry point for new users. And we have strategies as well. But what we found was for strategies, because they're kind of meant for kind of like an end user, and they're more complicated to kind of create and to test. Scripts allow you basically the full power of strategies, but because they're one single file, they're all in Python, and you can kind of just make changes and run them from from Hummingbot directly. We feel like they're like an easier kind of starting point for many users. So this release, we added a bunch of examples to the scripts folder. One of them is kind of an example that shows you how to use a new candles feed to basically just pull data from both the Binance and the Binance perpetual exchanges, and then just kind of use the candles factory to basically kind of like consolidate data into 1 minute, 1 hour, or 1 week candles. And then alongside that, we also added a couple examples that show you how to kind of create directional strategies to basically to launch and to deploy positions using some of that candles data. So there's a simple strategy example, and there's also an advanced one that that is actually kind of more complex because it's kind of pulling two types of data, RSI and Bollinger Bands, combining them together into a single indicator. So that might be an example if you're kind of looking to do something a little more custom. In addition, we also added this new microprice calculator example. This is actually a script that was added by a Bootcamp student in cohort number 2, and this actually implements a new kind of price estimator that Sasha Stoikov, a professor at Cornell, introduced. So Stoikov is the second half of Avanada Stoikov team that wrote one of the classic papers. This is also the paper that our Avanada strategy is based on. So I think that we're really excited to have worked with Nathan to kind of get this microprice calculator here, and it's something that I think we hope that users will be able to use to better inform their trading strategy. And then finally, we have a couple of kind of like gateway test scripts here. So gateway, it's still kind of like still in beta mode, but we're starting to kind of like create examples of functionality that you can use and you can kind of do yourself. So there's the AMM price example, which basically just fetches a price from a DEX connector, and there's also the trade example, which fetches a price and then execute a swap at that price. So okay, enough description. Let's actually go ahead and see how these scripts will run live. So let me pray to the demo gods, and I'll try to show you some sample scripts running in Hummingbot right now. Okay, so I have Hummingbot running over here, and so let me start by running the candles script. So I'll just do start script, and this automatically gives me access to all the scripts in the scripts folder. So I just need to run candles example and hit enter in order to run candles. So oh yes, first error I've already hit. Let me stop and fix something, and let me try that again, and hopefully now it should work. I am connected to Binance, and hopefully it will start pulling the candle. Oops, sorry, pulling the candles from Binance. Looks like it's still subscribing and fetching the data. So we can, and then you can also use status live to see what is happening. Oh, I am actually getting the candles now. So this is what it's actually doing. So this script is pulling the pulling data from Binance, both the Binance Spot Exchange and the Binance Perpetual Exchange. It's looking at the ETH USDT pair, and in this candles, so now this one is 1 minute candle, so it's basically going to fetch the data every minute and calculate kind of like open, high, lows, close, the volume, and then basically calculate a lot of the other things as well as some custom RSI, parameters here. And each of these, all this data is available in the data frame, and you can save the data frame, to a CSV file, or you can use it to power some type of strategy. But what I think is powerful is that at the same time, Hummingbot is also pulling data from Binance Perpetual. So it actually has a different interval here. And it's also kind of magic. So you can imagine some of the use cases you can now do. You can pull the same data from two exchanges with the same time frame, and then kind of look for differences between those two data sets. You can pull data at two different time intervals, like 1 hour and 1 minute, from two exchanges, construct kind of like a short-term indicator and a long-term indicator, and then do something with that. But I think that I think this kind of like script and this candles feed is really going to open up many more possibilities for people who are doing things with Hummingbot out there. And so that script, it was the entire code is in this candles example script in the folder, and you can see it's really only 90 lines of code because the candles factory is doing most of the work, and should be very simple for you to understand how it works. So that's the candles example, and let me also show you a couple of a gateway example while we're here. So I've set up gateway locally over here. So it's running the gateway server on my own computer. That's why it says gateway online. And so I'll just run the gateway the price example, AMM price. Right, that is. Cool. Hello. Hey. Oh, I'm not sharing the screen. Okay, sorry. Oh, okay, got it. Oh, okay, got it. Okay, I'll share it. Okay, I'll try it again. Thanks. Okay. Sorry, guys. Yeah, let me go through this candle example again because someone just told me that we are not sharing the example. Okay, 1 second. Okay. Cancel the screen. Okay. Okay. Sorry. Some technical difficulties here. Let me see if this is working or not. I can't share my screen here. Okay. I believe you should be able to see my screen right now. Yeah. Let me do that again, and I'll go through the candles example once more. Let me just check that, make sure that people can see me right now. Give me 1 second. Okay. All right. So yeah, let me just quickly run through the candles example again, because I think not being able to see what's on my screen was probably not conducive to understanding how it worked. So, okay. All right, so now that we've started the candles example, so this is what I actually see on my screen. So what this is showing is these are 3 different candles that that Hummingbot is now pulling. There's and you can see that one of them is the Binance Spot USDT pair, and so we're pulling the data from this trading pair on the Binance Spot exchange, and every 1 minute is generating kind of basically a candle with open, high, low, close, and the volume in that 1 minute period, and it also calculates kind of these indicators that we've defined in the script. So the RSI, Bollinger Bands, and basically whatever you want. But what I think is also really powerful about this feature is that at the same time, we're also pulling a different candle. That candle is the Binance Perpetual USDT pair, but the interval there is 1 hour. So I think the reason why I think this is powerful is because you can look at 2 different exchanges at the same time period, look at differences and do some type of arbitrage or market making between them. But you can also kind of use a directional strategy like this, where you have a short-term indicator coming from a 1 minute candle, along with a longer-term indicator coming from a 1 hour candle, and you use the differences to try to identify a trading opportunity. You can also just take the data, run these candles and store the data locally if you want a kind of like an easy way to collect order book data from exchanges, and you can use this to and we hope that the community can also use this to kind of back test and use data more more seamlessly in their scripts. So that was that example, and also wanted to run an example showing the a gateway script. So let me just run the AMM price example here. So this is all this is going to do is let me stop that one first. So the AMM price example, this one is really just kind of going to pull the price from a Uniswap connector. But I want to show you that how what we recommend that you kind of like run gateway with Postman first to make sure you have allowances, you have sufficient balance of ETH, you have kind of like the testnet tokens set up correctly, because right now, like obviously, so this basically connected to the Gurley testnet connector on Uniswap, and it just basically called this AMM price endpoint with these parameters, and I'm glad that it received the price correctly. So that's how that works. And then I'm also going to try running the trade example. So this one, the trade example, is very similar to the price example, except that it also tries to execute a swap after it fetches the price from the connector. So I'm going to try running that too. And this is where I would say there's a good chance this might not work, because this I'm using testnet. My node service might be congested or down at some point, and so there's a variety of things that can go wrong in a blockchain context, and that's why we would recommend having a good understanding of how blockchains and DEX trading works before you use a gateway, and also testing out gateway on a standalone basis with Postman, so that you can understand how it works. So here what's happening is that as before, it got the price, but this time it's saying it's going to try to do a swap with a slight amount of buffer against that price. So it sent that transaction through the trade endpoint, and now the transaction is pending confirmation by the blockchain, and now gateway's pulling for the result of that transaction. So hopefully this does pretty soon. We can also kind of see exactly what's happening if we go here, get the transaction hash, and then we can actually kind of go and just go to Etherscan and see the status of that transaction, and see what's happening and why it's not being confirmed. So this is where, because if you're testing test nets, there's a good chance that sometimes lots of people are testing also. So that might be why the transaction isn't being confirmed. But typically, if you kind of go in here and you see that the hash is available on Etherscan, it typically means that this transaction will get confirmed at some point in the next 1 minute to 1 hour time frame. But you don't really know. But this is, I think, is a good example of understanding kind of like what's actually happening in the blockchain is pretty critical to understanding DEX trading, because if you don't understand this and you just think that like you're just looking over here, you may not understand kind of like what's actually happening. And so in this case, what's actually happening is that Hummingbot is all we can really do is send the transaction to the node service and hopefully have the node service have that transaction be picked up in the mempool. But if it isn't, then you either have to wait, or you can cancel the transaction, change your node service provider, and try to do that again. So this one will likely get confirmed in the next few minutes, but we just don't know when. Okay, so there's a few other examples as well that you can check out in the new repository. So I encourage you to try out all the different script examples in paper trading mode and test nets before running them live yourself. So with that, I'd like to switch gears now and invite Daniel from bloxRoute Labs over. And Daniel is going to present the new open book connector that they've built, and they plan on submitting it for inclusion in the open source repo sometime in the near future. So welcome, Daniel. And if you could, maybe like you can give an intro into bloxRoute and tell kind of like maybe like why you decided to engage with the Hummingbot community. That would be incredible.
Yes, let me do that. Let me quickly share my screen. Meanwhile, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mike, for inviting me for this community call. It's really awesome to see what Hummingbots have been doing. And here is what we did with Hummingbot. So a quick background information about what is bloxRoute. I mean, Hummingbot have been working in the algo trading industry for a while. I think all this open source code are very popular among the communities, and bloxRoute on the other sides are also working in this industry. However, we spend most of our energy focusing on on-chain services. By the way, can you see my screen? Yeah. Yes. Okay. Because I was. Huh. How about now? Nope. Sorry about that. Let me try to reshare again. So, because I do have a demo to share with you guys. Yep. Hopefully this work. Yep. All right. So bloxRoute is actually a company like focusing on-chain infrastructure. So what we do is we providing a infrastructure for those on-chain algo traders in order to see faster, which means like you can see the like Mike just mentioned, like mempool information, block information, transaction information, and act faster. Our BDM network will propagate transaction faster than those public RPC services. So recently, we introduced this Solana Trader API, a programming interface to trade on Solana with low latency connectivity to the Solana network. Even though the Solana network is already pretty fast compared to some of other like EVM chains like Ethereum, but still, bloxRoute is focusing on trying to gain those 50 milliseconds I would say edge for our users. Right now, we are this project is introducing a centralized looking API system, so you don't need to run your nodes or even connect it to a RPC service in order to trade on chain. The concept is a little bit similar to the gateway concept in Hummingbots, but we did basically one more step. You don't even need a gateway to do anything on blockchain. You can just use our API endpoints. Yeah, like I mentioned, the transaction goes through the bloxRoute while gaining some milliseconds advantage. And if the bloxRoute company are built based on the concept of those Flash boys in the past, those guys who build the fibers from New York Exchange to Chicago Exchange, and the bloxRoute is doing exactly the same stuff but on the chain. We can quickly take a look at our Trader API's architecture. So we have two group of API endpoints, which are the market endpoints and the trade endpoints. Market endpoints, we have like spot market, AMM project, and the upcoming perpetual future. So you can get all those market data through all these endpoints, which are rather similar to the centralized exchange. And the trading endpoints or performance all those actions in order to place orders, cancel orders, and manage all your position, etc. A quick information, just to let you know, we are currently at East Denver in the next couple of days. Anyone who are interested to meet our CEO in person, you are more than welcome to. All right, let's quickly move to the most exciting part for today, which is the demo. We have built a centralized connector called bloxRoute OpenBook. So let's take a look. I hope you can see my terminal here. So this is your very familiar Hummingbot interface. Let me get let me activate that. Meanwhile, let me zoom. So what we did is we actually forked the Hummingbot's repository, and then we make some modification. So all right, while give it just a couple of seconds to get this start. All right, this is the Hummingbot interface here. You can see we can do connect, where we build one more connector, bloxRoute OpenBook, and I already connected to this one, but I can redo it just for the demo purpose. What you need is a alt header from bloxRoute, which you can easily acquire it for free, and your Solana public key, private key. Did I just expose my private key? All right, but this is just for testing purposes. Though I'm not worried too much about that. And the open all the address. All right, I'm just connected to the bloxRoute open book connector. What can do now is you can you see I'm already connected. I'm also opened a UI interface for the open book. Let me refresh that. So here is exactly the same address, and you can see this is the interface of the open book exchange, Solana based order book based exchange called open book. All right, then let's create a strategy. Let's use a fixed grid, for example, because it's easier to do that. So the market we are demo today is SOL USDC. How many grid? Let's say 7 grid. The top price we can use like 23, floor 22. Let's use 0.1, so per order. All right. So this created a strategy to do a fixed grid. And now, if you remember, we did not open any gateway on Hummingbot, right? It's just central CEX-like connector. But if you, let's start. Okay, right now there is no open orders at all. Let's keep this running. Let's see, it's running. All right, looks like here. We have created some limited buy, limited order. Let's refresh that just in case. Make sure I'm connected. Yeah. We reconnected just to make sure. Yeah. Let's take a look. Supposedly, stop this and restart. There's a one more way to, sometimes those in UI interface may suffer some issues, but one way to check is to go to the eScan, which you can Okay. Well, looks like there must be some blocks placing. Let's see if we can get this transaction. Interesting. There is actually one transaction here. All right. So there is one transaction, but we're expecting a little bit more than that. However, the dashboard for log check so scan for the wallet maybe in acceptors. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Copy address. I think it's this is the wrong address. All right. So again, I think. All right. So this is not necessarily a very successful demo for sure. But one thing we can see is there is actually one transaction showed up here, which is supposed to be one of the fixed grade open order transaction we're expecting. The reason caused these issues may be due to the fact that I don't know if it looks like I do have enough balance, but I will definitely take a look. But what we can tell is after we started running the Hummingbots, and it actually contact our trade. What it does is they coded our trade API endpoint, and they create a transaction and send it back to the Hummingbots and your local instance. And your local instance use your private key provided here to sign the transaction and submit it to our RPC nodes. So in this way, instead of running a gateway, you basically doing the DEX transaction only using this centralized grid connector. You can tell from here the gateway is offline, but you are actually sending transaction on block. Yep. Well, definitely. Yeah. Go ahead.
Hey, Daniel. Sorry. Yes. Thank you very much for the demo, by the way. So feel free to continue on. I actually need to go in like 5 minutes because I have to drop my daughter off.
Sure.
Yeah. But I do want to thank you very much for the demo, because I think this is actually a great example of kind of like like a community built connector that's different, but is has like kind of like pros and cons versus our other gateway connectors. So on the gateway side, for those of you who don't know, there's actually a team that was working on a Solana gateway connector. Obviously, because of what happened with Serum, that connector is not really usable anymore. But that same team is actually working on a Ripple DEX connector now. And so we want to encourage that Mike and Daniel and those guys to move on. But I think this open book connector that bloxRoute has built, I think, is a viable alternative for any user out there that wants to trade on a Solana blockchain. And so from our side, I think we want to do as much as we can to promote the community members like bloxRoute who've invested the time and effort into building on top of Hummingbot. And so for any trading firms or exchanges out there that want to demo what they built with Hummingbot, please let us know, and we'd love to have you on future calls.
Yeah. Thanks again, Mike, for inviting us. Even though it wasn't the best demo, I would say, but we are actually in the middle of deploying a new big version, which gonna support the new perpetual future on Solana. That might cause some of our production issues, but we are we're actively building all those stuff. So
well, I totally understand. That every time I do a demo involving something on the blockchain,
yeah.
So if you ever want to come back and try it again, do a demo, we'd love to have you.
Cool. Thank you.
right. Well, thanks everyone to everyone watching, and we'll come back in another couple of weeks. We always do a dev call on this on the third Wednesday of the month, and a monthly community call like this one on the first Wednesday. Yeah, like bookmark the live stream, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
All right, bye.